Hello, folks, friends, and fellow dumb, horny idiots. It's me, Tim. I wanted to come on here and do some announcements before we start the show because March is going to be an exciting month. Why? It's because it's going to be filled with so many comedy events. And if you know me, I am first and foremost a hell of a funny clown. Well, not like a clown with the red nose and shit, but no, I'm a bit of a comedian, if you can tell by how awful I'm doing this intro right now. So March is going to be amazing, and all the episodes that I'm going to be releasing this month are going to be comedy based. We're going to be talking about, sex and dating through a comedic lens, and I wanted to bring to your attention a lot of comedy stuff that's coming up here in Toronto. So we've got Laugh Sabbath and Adeline on Thursdays at the Comedy Bar. I love Laugh Sabbath and their lineup. Adeline is literally like audience participation, which is so fun. And then there's live stand-up at Absolute Comedy every Tuesday to Saturday. Oh, and then guess what? The legendary Tom Green is going to be at Yuck Yucks Friday, March 10. And if you're not feeling like going to any of this and it's more of like, oh, I'm funnier than these people, then you can take an improv class at SoCap. And what I love about SoCap is that they do both in person and virtual. So that's amazing. And then last but not least, there is Sarah Silverman, who is amazing. She just finished her run on The Daily Show, and she's going to be here March 12th at Meridian Hall. So come and support live comedy. If you are like me and you are clinically depressed and sad all the time and just gloomy and need some help laughing, then I think the comedy scene is for you, because guess what? Every single comedian you know is also probably very depressed. So come have a blast with us. I'm probably going to be at some of these events, and if you see me around, say hi. And with that said, just about to start the show, I do want to say I'm sorry for my audio quality. I don't know what the fuck happened with my mic during this recording, because I sound like I'm stuck in a tunnel. I don't know what the fuck happened. Forgive me, but I tried my best to fix it, and this is the best that I could come up with. Like I said, Sex Ed with Tim is not known for its professionality and high quality. This is all garbage, and it's your fault for listening this far into the show. So thank you anyways. So yeah, support live comedy, support the show. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show. And yeah, I guess that's it. Without further ado, let's start the show. The Sex Ed with Tim podcast is recorded on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands.
You're listening to Sex Ed with Tim.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sex Ed with Tim podcast. I'm your host, Tim, certified sex educator. I identify as a chaotic homosexual, and hey baby, let's play Barbie. I'll be Ken and you'll be the box I come in. Wow, I don't know how I feel about that. I have the worst fucking audience submitting these dumbass pickup lines. God, you're all disgusting.
That's a pickup line. Okay.
Yeah, I've been asking my listeners to give me like a pickup line that I can finally use, and they want me to stay single forever. Not fun, Jonesy. I'll let you know that now. Anyways, let's get right to it. That very funny, handsome voice you hear on the other end of the mic. You've seen him on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. You've seen him on Gotham. You've probably seen him on Drunk History. He is one of the funniest guys I've discovered as of recently. He's got all the charm of a third grade English teacher and the smile of a fourth grade math teacher who's dealing drugs. Please welcome to the show, Jonesy.
Yes, that was such an incredible intro, Tim. Yes, and also I not only sell drugs to the students, but I take them myself because I believe in you can get high on your own supply after all.
That's good.
You know, it's a tough world we live in.
No, for sure. That's quality control. You should only be testing your own
It's
shit.
quality control.
Yeah.
I have to let him know the quality here that we have going here. I'm still if I haven't died from an overdose, then it's okay stuff. It hasn't been laced. That's the kind of world we live in now. You gotta test your stuff, man. Isn't that wild? I think everyone should have like a drug addicted buddy that they can go to with their stuff. Like, hey man, will you test this for me? Yeah, bro, I'll test it, man. Okay, just lay it out, bro. Let's hope I don't die.
Their one remaining tooth. And like
yeah.
the last fingernail on their finger.
This shit is good, man. This shit is good. I only lost one tooth and I didn't die, so I think you can take it. Just half the dose. I say half the dose.
Their last fingernail is what they're using to chop up their supply. Sniff right off of it.
That's hilarious.
Oh my god.
It's very dangerous to take hardcore drugs now. When I was a kid, you could just sniff anything and you didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, whatever happened to huffing glue and like not having to worry about the consequences of it?
Right? I'm going to have to go back to huffing glue because I know that's made by like Fisher Price.
Yeah. Come on, Elmer. Come through.
Elmer, that's right. Elmer's glue. Yeah. Drug tester. Oh, I'm coming up with a new bit right now by talking to you.
Be very quiet.
That's funny because I got to do... So I do this show for like the cannabis industry out here in Southern California. Twice a month we do this show, and I always run out of material. They've already seen my jokes, so I keep trying to come up with drug material. This what I just said could work right here. We should all have a very messed up friend that could be our drug tester.
Well,
I think it's pretty morbid, but like I like it, And if he only loses a tooth but is still alive, you're good to go. Just cut the dose in half.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should definitely make the trip out here to Toronto, especially check out the gay village where all the druggies hang out. You'll get so much material.
I like that.
You're going to get like people.
This sounds great.
Yeah. You're going to get someone that will just like roll down their window and just be like, hey, you guys are gay. And then just, that's it. Like, yeah, that's.
Oh man. See, yeah, I got to get up to Toronto. I got a lot of fans of my podcast are in Canada.
Yeah.
And, they have the best sense of humor, man. They really get me. Canadians got a very good sense of humor, and I keep thinking to myself, I need to get up there and do stand-up comedy for sure. And obviously, Toronto would be a place for that because I heard they got a very bustling comedy scene.
We literally just had this thing, JFL 42. It's like this big arena of comedians, and it is like star-studded. I remember there was Anthony Jeselnik and Issa Rae, John Mulaney was here, Trevor Noah, like big names. And then you also got some local names.
Huge names.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
If you've got fans in Toronto, we'd welcome you with open arms and a bunch of singles to trade for your supply.
I like that. And I know my money will go far up there when it comes to buying my loot and my drugs.
Because the conversion rate?
My alcohol. I love how your audience now is like, this guy is so into drugs. I'm really not. Just a little bit. I mean, I think taking some drugs is the proper reaction to what's going on in the world right now. I mean, because it's just like
honestly,
absurd.
If you don't have an addiction, go get one. Or else, like, I don't know who you are. I'm not talking to you.
I mean, at the minimal, like, I smoke cannabis every day, and I mean, at
So
the
do I.
minimal, I think this is what we all should be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's it helps you get through. It really, really does.
It's legal over there in the West Coast, right?
It sure is.
Oh,
And
sweet. It's legal nationwide here in Canada. So, like, for every
I've heard,
Starbucks
and
you run into, you'll have 5 dispensaries.
I applaud you for that. I think that's a wonderful decision for your country.
And
It's my kind of place.
and like, if you ever get into an accident, you don't even have to pay for the ambulance ride. Imagine that.
See, I can't. That's like a world I'm so unfamiliar with. It saddens me that one ambulance ride is all it takes. I mean, I actually once without insurance got an ambulance bill for, I want to say it was $2,000 for the, which by the way, it was like a mile and a half. Like, let's be real.
Jesus.
Like for $2,000, I mean, are you crazy? For $1,000, I could have hired 6 strippers to push me there in a wheelchair. I mean, come on now.
6. Wow.
Like,
Oh God, you get.
let's be real here. This is
No, you get a
ridiculous.
dozen here in Canada because of your conversion rate.
You'll probably get a dozen.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I get a lap dance, every quarter kilometer. Why not? Yeah. You live in a wonderful place. It's just unbelievable. And,
Yeah,
and
we've
as
got
the
some
earth
pretty
warms,
sweet stripper bars here.
as it gets hotter and hotter, I'm gonna more and more consider, defecting to Canada. It's just a little cold for me.
Yeah.
But I know it's changing, and I support that too. So pretty soon you're gonna have like Florida weather, and I'll be up there.
Oh yeah.
That's where I'm gonna retire.
Oh yeah. Do it because we've got all the booze, all the strippers, all the weed that your heart's content, and you know what?
It's unbelievable,
Yeah.
and a big comedy scene. It's just everything I ever need.
Yeah, right. Isn't that like a comedian's utopia?
It sounds like it to me. It really does.
Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
and also like I hope you discover that you bust the myth that Canadians are nice because we're not. We're just passive aggressive.
You're the first person I've heard say that.
We're not nice at all.
That's fascinating.
We're not nice. So whenever you hear a Canadian say sorry, it's more of like, oh, sorry.
Like I pity you.
Yeah, it's that kind of sorry.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course we have the
So
accent
you're
of
right.
sorry.
It's very passive aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's you need to be fluent in French and sarcasm to get by here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I got some sarcasm, and I'll just have to learn a little French.
Yeah.
I know a couple words like croissant and douche. That'll get me.
Those
far,
are good.
right?
Yeah. Or
Those are good.
latte.
You genuinely was like, those are good.
Yeah.
That's you'll use douche often.
Yeah.
Especially if you work in a pharmacy.
I mean, it's not wrong.
I suppose I could get a job in a bakery or a pharmacy. Those are the only words I know.
Why not?
That's very funny.
And you have to like really speak like that rapey skunk on the cartoon, and then you're good. You're fine.
Yeah, the rapey skunk. I was a fan of that rapey skunk.
Yeah, you got a lot of pussy.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, that's it.
I was okay with it.
Yeah,
I was okay with it. I didn't watch that and then go out and just start grabbing women. I don't know who they think is going to do that. I mean, it's so stupid. No, we need to pull this off the... He's trying to romance some people here. Not people. He's trying to romance...
a cat.
What is essentially a cat
Yeah.
by mistake. And it's only hugging and kissing and saying lovely things, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he wants to do. Hug and kiss and say nice things to you. And dance. What's wrong with that? This is rapey to you? What is your definition of rape? Someone spouting poetry while trying to hold your hand? I mean, come on now. This was a very romantic individual that I think got a bad rap, and I don't support the removal of Pepe Le Pew. Like I said, I never watched Pepe Le Pew and then ran out into my neighborhood and started, squeezing people without their permission or consent.
Yeah. By that definition, then Romeo from Shakespeare is rapey, and also, yeah, he is.
Great example. Great example. Yeah, sure. And I've seen some hip hop videos that are a little grabby while we're at it. Okay, so we want to
Yeah.
remove all that too. Are we going to remove the Rex and Effects videos? Like, what are we going to do here?
It's really
Come on now.
no, it's quite insane, and like just like so much shit out there is. I don't know, Jonesy. Like it's so fucked up, and like how do people like you and me develop quite well is beyond me. Like you're not out there committing sexual assault after like being exposed to all this shit.
No, no. I mean, the whole thing it just drives me wild.
Yeah, it's insane.
As a comedian, it's a constant battle for like. I feel like I'm oftentimes defending freedom of speech, which is essentially freedom of speech at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Why should I have to be defending freedom of speech? This should be something that we all just. It's an inalienable right, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Do you?
And a freedom of expression in art of any sort should never be censored.
I'm actually kind of curious, Jonesy.
Being that art is totally subjective.
I'm curious though. Like,
say it again.
I'm a little curious because you're a comedian and you've been on the road, right? So, as a comedian, have you ever run into any chuckle fuckers?
I have, yeah.
Ooh.
As a matter of fact, I have. And let me tell you something about these chuckle fuckers. They're not stable people. They're just not. Yeah, I mean, believe me, I would love to say that they're relationship material, but at the end of the day, they're not. It's just like the groupies, band groupies. Same idea. Same. You don't put a ring on that. You know what I'm saying? You don't. This is like you have to understand it's a good time, it's temporary, it's fleeting, and they're going to be on to Anthony Jeselnik's cock next week. That you got to like, you got to just deal with that, and so I see it for what it is, but I've had, I'm not that lucky. I mean, I probably pulled more tails singing karaoke, believe it or not, than I have doing stand-up. Because there's just something about someone that can sing that drives women nuts, more so than being able to tell jokes. Yeah, it's funny. They say that, that sense of humor is very important, and that it is important, but also there's other things that you can't just be funny, I mean...
you have to be at least a 7,
I would say 6.5 or 7. I mean,
in California.
Right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Fluffy's probably married right now, and I mean, he probably could get tail because I say tail like I'm Frank Sinatra. He could probably get some dames because of he's so
chicks.
wealthy. But like, if he wasn't wealthy. And he was just funny. Like, look at him. Like, who's gonna be all over that? It's just not happening. So it's not as easy as you think. I think in the comedy world, like I said, and I was in bands before as well. And I did much better when I was in bands, singing in bands. Yeah, for sure. But the comedy community get a little bit of that. Yeah,
you get a little bit of strange.
A little bit of strange. There's something very impressive about someone who is doing what many consider the scariest thing. Standing in front of strangers and speaking is super scary. Stand-up comedy is very scary. So
Terrifying.
Some people look at that and like, oh my God, this guy is very brave. This guy gives no fucks.
Yeah.
Here's somebody who's like a superhero on some level, and then it's a big letdown afterward when you really meet a comedian off stage. I just have to let your listeners know it's, we're not together in many, many ways.
No, we're
a
not.
lot of us are depressed, and a lot of us aren't happy people. A lot of us have substance abuses, depression, come from broken families. There's a reason why we're up there. I'm more normal. Much more normal than the other comics.
That's subjective.
I have. It is subjective, of course.
Normal.
Yes, of course. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have I've never had any really strong addictions, and I've never I'm not on depressants of any sort.
Lucky
Many
you.
of my comedy peers are on antidepressants. I'm going to say
Right here.
it's probably 85 to 90% of the comedians I know are on antidepressants, and I am not. And I did have my early childhood was a little fucked up, and I come from a very poor family, so there's a little bit of that, but not as bad as some people I know that come from like completely broken families, like really bad stuff. I really haven't had it that bad. So I'm more normal, I would say. I don't have the best credit, of course, but and and maybe I do, or maybe I don't sell mushrooms on the side to make ends meet. I'm just gonna say maybe I do. So I don't have everything together, but I'm kind of normal.
That's good. Like, you know what? It takes a specific kind of person to make a whole bunch of people laugh. And like, that's so like much
Sure.
needed, especially now because, the world's all fucked up with like a triple pandemic on our hands. Like, that's so bullshit. I'm over it. So like, it's great. And I'm wondering when did you know you were funny? Or at least had the capability to like make people laugh?
I was always making people laugh as a young child in school. That was always the thing that I did, and I even we had a talent show, and I participated in like comedy sketches and that sort of thing. I just was always cracking up, and of course, oftentimes people that are funny to their friends and family, it doesn't translate to the stage. That's a different environment. You have to create the context for the jokes as well. Whereas if you're joking around with your friends, there's already a built-in context. So much harder. And oftentimes they'll say, "Oh, you're so funny around. You're just a funny person. You should try stand-up." I was one of those people that didn't really jump right into it. I never considered it at all. I didn't consider. I thought I would do music. That was something I really loved a lot, and I still do. But I was into it. And then a friend of mine he was going to these comedy open mics, and then I went with him once, and I saw what was going on. And if you've never seen a comedy open mic, it's really low level. It's really bad. I mean, it'll give anybody confidence. I could be better than these.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, this is what everyone's doing. These people don't know what they're doing. Like I could be better than this. So, and of course, it's harder than I thought. Like I eventually went with my buddy and tried it, and it didn't go that well. It didn't go as well as I thought it would. But I thought, I'm a smart guy, so and I'm not afraid of anything. Really, I'm pretty fearless, and especially on the microphone. I was already on stage before. I already knew how to be on stage, so it just seemed like a natural thing for me to then kind of try more of, and then I just got I got sort of the comedy bug on some level. I'm like, I really want to make this work. Like I know I can do this, and let me just, then you get a little bit of laughter, and then that sort of feeds you to keep going, and then. It's like, can I get laughs for a whole 5 minutes? Like, can I do that? Well, what about 10, then 20? Then can I do an hour? And then you just go on, and then you get deep in with your material. Your material gets more complex as you get into it. If you want it to, mine certainly has. And I went from telling dick jokes in the beginning because I was
great?
21 years old, 22 years old. That's and then but now I talk about big picture stuff, bigger picture stuff, because some of my stuff's very philosophical and major commentaries on the culture, this kind of. So I go there with it, and I challenge myself more on stage. I try to talk about subjects or things that are a little uncomfortable, things you normally wouldn't laugh at. Like if now I'm like, I challenge myself, can I make people laugh at things that normally they would not laugh at? So now I'm just evolving. And it's for myself, really, because some of the stuff that I'm doing doesn't get laughs, and I although while I'm doing it, maybe we're not enjoying it. I just sort of I want to push myself. If I'm convinced that I can make something work, I'll just keep at it, and and that forces me to grow. It forces me to elevate my artistry.
Your comedy
and that's what keeps me going, because
very highbrow.
I mean, I can
with the dollars.
I try to be that way. I would categorize my material now as a little smarter. And I notice that because sometimes I'll go up in front of crowds and they're a little I don't want to say dumb. They're just they're not as worldly, or they're not as open
in tune with the zeitgeist.
They're accustomed to. Yeah, and maybe they don't even care about that anyways. They just want simple jokes about sex and drugs, and they just want to go out because they worked hard all week and they just want to laugh, and they don't care if you pull a dildo out and put it on your head. That's funny to them. Yay, they laugh. They just want a simple, easy laugh. They don't want to think too much, and so I notice those crowds. I don't go over always as well, but then in those instances, oftentimes I'll just revert into some of my older material, which they simple jokes about dating, karaoke, whatever. There's stuff they're just like
relatable.
Sex jokes. Yeah, they stuff that I know that they'll like. I don't enjoy telling those bits, and obviously I've removed them from my act predominantly, but I'll do that to satisfy them. If it's a paid show, I'll do that. But yeah, I've gone into another place with it, and I like it because it makes it. I need to constantly evolve to make it fascinating for me. Like it has to be. I see comics often do the same act every show, and I just that's not me. I get too bored or something.
Yeah.
That I gotta keep trying things for myself. I like thrills. And if you know what's going to happen when you go on stage every time, you kind of lose that thrill, I think. Like anything in life, you're fucking the same person every night. I mean, eventually it loses the thrill, right? Like, how do we mix this up?
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you wear this Big Bird mask? Okay, now that's hot. Like that's different.
I'm more of a Teletubby kind of guy,
and as an artist. You're more of a Teletubby. I'm more of a Power Rangers guy.
Okay, classic. There's a little more educated mind behind that. I like to rip a little hole in the.
I like to rip a little hole in the onesie, and then go to town. Now keep the helmet on. I don't want to see your face.
And then the guy I'm fucking always used to say, "Tubby, come." Tubby orgasm.
That's right. Tubby, call me daddy.
Oh my god! No.
Well, at least your audience will enjoy some of these.
You've unlocked a new kink.
Segues here.
Yeah, you've unlocked a new kink, Jonesy.
Yeah, I think I have.
Oh my god!
I'm a Power Rangers bottom.
There you go. That's great. You've discovered something about yourself on my show.
Yeah, I think
how about that?
We just came up with something here. Look at that. People could start using that. Get ready for next Halloween, guys. Yeah.
Oh my god. That's probably not even the weirdest thing, to be honest.
No, it's probably not. I was doing Halloween jokes. Now I have to stop because Halloween's over. But one of the jokes was, I love Halloween. It's the only night of the year that you have a chance to fuck a She-Hulk.
You're forgetting Comic-Con.
Oh, my bad. Comic-Con, you're right.
Yeah.
Those happen like all the time too. Like once a month you could find one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Over here in Toronto, we have something called Fan Expo, and all the nerds just come in with their costumes and shit. And then somebody planned an after party where it's like, you're only welcome to join the orgy if you're in costume. What? Okay.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Wow. That's fascinating. Man, I kind of envy those people. They really let loose, right?
Because they don't give a fuck.
They really, it means so much to them. You can tell they're having the best time. They spend all year like building their costume, and some of them make it by hand, and they spend a lot of money on these things, and they're legit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they don't give
it's like Burning Man to them in a way, right?
They don't give a shit about what anyone thinks, so they're just gonna go to town at this after party orgy.
Yeah, and I've been to one because a buddy of mine had a comic book come out, and so it was called The Samurai Cowboy. It was a pretty weird comic book about, can you guess?
A Samurai Cowboy.
So
wow,
so
groundbreaking.
That was my only time at groundbreaking, right? He had a sword and a gun, guys. That was the only Comic-Con I've ever been to, and I really was blown away. And not only because of the costumes, but everybody knew who everybody was. Like, I didn't recognize a lot of these characters, but they all knew, oh, you're this from that. Oh, and like they just really have a community of like that, that it's all love, man. It's all love and appreciation. And I was like, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And it's so sexy. I'm kind of jealous, but like
it's, oh my God. Yeah. There was some of that. I had to be careful though, because some of these, here I am like checking her out and it's like, bro, that's a 15-year-old Asian girl. Oh, my bad.
No, bye.
Whoops.
No, pass.
Look.
Next.
She's dressed like, I'm sorry. I didn't know I looked because of the way she was dressed, but I didn't realize it's like, my bad.
Yeah. You forget that some of
it gets a little nuts, right?
You forget that some of them are like the teenagers, because you'd think that like
very young. And I was unaware. Yeah.
But hey, at least you have the wherewithal to be like.
But the costumes are so amazing.
Yeah. You have the wherewithal to be like, are you old enough?
Excuse me, are you of age? Okay, now, right now I'll look at you more than 2 seconds because you were of age. I feel bad looking at you at all now that I know your real age. This is terrible.
I can't help but think that like this probably isn't the weirdest thing you've heard, because you're the host of Weird AF News, which is an amazing podcast, by the way. It's so funny, the shit that you find, and it like blows my mind. So like, this being like a sex ed podcast, I'm wondering if you've probably heard some crazy sex stories on your show, especially because you have a segment called Florida Friday, is it? And shit goes down in Florida.
Yeah, I do Florida Fridays. And
what's Florida man up to now?
5 days a week. 5 days a week I do this podcast. Your listeners need to understand that. Yeah. So it's Monday through Friday. I do weird news daily. It's the only daily weird news podcast. But on Friday, I only do weird news from Florida. And as you can imagine, it is out of control what goes on in Florida, especially in the nakedness department. Everybody's just naked in public, in naked people going into Chick-fil-A and like, humping the floor. Like, this kind of stuff is happening all the time in Florida. There was a woman who she, was masturbating with a dildo in the middle of Walmart. I don't even know if she brought it in there. I assume Walmart doesn't sell them, so she brought it in there.
It was in the
a Florida teacher twerking on a student. Florida teacher twerking on a student at prom a couple of months ago or whatever it was. Like, this stuff is crazy.
That's so
crazy.
insane.
I did a story where a Florida man whipped out his penis and then beat a lady with a dead pigeon. Did it all in one instance. Like, I couldn't believe it was a title of a story. I read the title. I'm reading the title. Florida man whips out his wang and beats a woman with a dead pigeon. Like, how is that even an activity in the world? Like, how does that even happen? It's Florida, man, of course.
Oh, Florida, man, you never fail to disappoint.
I mean, God. It's absolutely crazy in Florida. And I'm trying to run through some old Florida stories here. Yeah. We just got general weird sex news anyways. Like,
we do?
In September, did you see the story in September where like a tractor trailer truck full of dildos crashed on the highway? So there were dildos all over the road. It was a huge story, yeah. And and they released the audio of the guy driving the helicopter, like the news guy doing the helicopter. Yeah. It was like, yeah, we got it's like a traffic control helicopter.
Yeah, in the sky kind of thing.
There's a lot of there's a lot of objects on the highway, and then someone's like, well, could you tell us what the objects are, Bill? And I'm like, well, they look kind of they look phallic. A lot of phallic. Jim, could you elaborate? I really can't elaborate on this. There's a bunch of dildos on the highway, Barry. All right, let's say that. Really funny story, though, right? I mean,
just imagine having to explain to your boss why you're late because a whole bunch of fucking dildos, floppy cocks, just like we're on the I-95, like
all over the road.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, another thing I come across doing this weird podcast is like objectophilia.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are marrying objects.
Yep.
Like a woman marrying the Tetris video game. A woman marrying a plane, a woman marrying a bridge. Oftentimes it's women. I don't know why that is.
There was one thing I saw on TLC where a guy married his car.
Oh, a guy married a car. Okay, got it. I know in Japan, men have been known to marry their sex dolls, on many occasions. That's been going on.
And they're not even those rubber fuck dolls with like the open mouth. They are realistic. They look
totally real. Yeah, I've seen the pictures because I've covered a couple of those stories. They look legitimate.
Terrifying.
They really do. I mean, we're headed for a world of sex robots that are going to be pretty lifelike at some point. I mean, I don't know.
Like sex workers have it
hard
enough
as
it is.
When that happens.
Now we need robots taking over our jobs.
Poor sex workers at that point. At that point, I'm like,
God fucking damn it.
I mean,
you know what?
Yeah. I still would.
That could work because, like, if you're a stripper and you're a robot, you don't have to like carry singles anymore, especially here in Canada, because our lowest denominator is a 5. So we can put in our like $1 coin, and
you got that? Yeah, you got that $1 coin scam going on. You guys with the coin.
Yeah, so we can't just throw singles at our strippers, you know. the minimum
is a 5.
It's
a dangerous game to be a stripper. You gotta dress up like a hockey goalie.
Yeah.
Which kind of destroys the purpose.
And if you see like $1 coming at your way, you need to catch it with your open vagina.
Oh yeah.
Party trick.
You know, the other thing that goes on in the world is that I cover quite a bit of is romance scams are a big thing. And I recently covered an outrageous romance scam where this poor woman in either China or Japan, the scammer convinced her that he was an astronaut at the space station, right? And they were communicating over a few months, and he kept convincing her to send him money to save up for his flight from the space station to her. He was like, as astronauts, we have to pay for our own flight home. And she sent him like $30,000 to $40,000 over the span of, it was like 5 payments. And until she finally caught on. I don't know how, if someone just clued her in on what was going on, but she was already out all this money. I mean, imagine this kind of scam. I'm an astronaut, and I'd love to come and see you. Like, she was an older woman. She was like 65, not that old, but I mean, people are so lonely, Tim. It's like we're in a state where the world is crazy, and then on top of it, people have been isolated, and they're so lonely that they're targets for this kind of romance scam. It concerns me very much, and I feel very horrible for people. Especially, we got a very large elderly population right now in the world, and so like there's their targets are these naive elderly people. Maybe they even have dementia and stuff, and they're just being targets of romance scams.
Back when I was an escort, majority of my clients were older guys. So, and like they didn't even want sex; they just wanted like intimacy. They wanted to cuddle. They wanted to talk. They wanted to date. And I'm like, this is so sad. This is pre-pandemic as well. This is way before when I was like 19 to 23. They just wanted someone to have to hold. I'm like, this is so sad. You're so lonely, but you're so wealthy. It's like,
there are professional cuddlers too, so I mean, there is a market for this sort of thing. You know,
if you never make it as a comedian, you could make it as a cuddler. You have a very cuddleable face.
I'd have to have a cleaner diet because I'd imagine I gotta smell really good. You know, I really. I want to be a professional cuddler.
Jonesy, in your defense, Jonesy, there was that clip that I saw where you were like working out and you were shirtless, and I was like, wow, he's like really in shape. I think you
Oh,
did it for
that
like a
was
short
yeah,
film or
that was like
something?
3 years. That was a pre-pandemic shoot. Yeah, my body
Yeah.
isn't quite there yet anymore. But yeah, I was ripping a bong and doing
Crunches.
crunches. That was for a movie that we shot in Palm Springs. That was a fun
Yeah.
project. I got to shoot a gun, and I got taken as a hostage, and I got to break out of handcuffs and get out of a trunk, and I got put
Oh,
into a
that's sexy.
dungeon and beat up, and I was bloody. Oh, it was so cool. I love
Is
stuff like
this
that. It's so fun to play make believe.
is this a movie or a porno?
It's a. It sounds like a porno, right?
Sounds like yeah.
It's an independent movie called Nowheresville, and we got into a few festivals, and we had a movie premiere out in Palm Springs, which was really fun. So I got to
Oh,
go out there. It
congrats.
was the only movie premiere that I ever went to that I was actually in. Really cool.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoy acting. It's great. It's nice to pretend to be somebody that's not me, for a little
Yeah.
while. Yeah, it's
That
nice to get out of
that
my skin.
that clip
You
of
know.
you as an Elvis impersonator, that was like
Yeah, you
pretty
saw that too. Yeah, that was
Of
a great
course.
gig, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, when I saw this role to audition, I really tried really hard to get it, man. I had to do all kinds of things. I had to do an Elvis impersonation, like talk like him. In addition to talking like myself in the piece, I played an Elvis impersonator, but I had to learn how to talk just like him, and I had to sing his songs. So I had to learn his songs and try and sing like him
Hound
too, and
Dog.
do
Yeah, yeah.
dance moves like him, which I didn't quite get the dance moves down as well as I should have. I needed more time with that, but I got the voice down, and I got the performance, and I sang like him
Can
for
we
the
get a
most
little
part.
bit of Elvis
And
right
they
now?
put on. They put on. Let me tell you something. They I had such a. Oh man, I tell you. You should have seen these pants, man. Oh yeah, these pants that they had me in. These pants.
Yeah.
I mean, you ever had your? You ever? I never had the opportunity to do a glittery twerk before, man. I did it.
Oh my God.
This outfit, they went and they rented this Elvis costume. It was like $400 to rent this Elvis costume. It was so authentic. Like, it was outstanding. It was like, oh, when I saw it, I just lost it. I'm not an Elvis fan by any means. Like, I'm not a big Elvis guy, but it was so authentic that I was very happy to be a part of that, and then and to do that. And I got to do so much. I got to blow my brains out, and I was crying on camera. I got to do all of this stuff, and I got to drive this really cool convertible. Oh my God. Oh man, sometimes once in a while you get this acting gig that gives you so much to do, and I just go crazy for that stuff, crazy
Yeah.
for it.
And you run on like this actor's high kind of thing where you're like, oh man, I want to do
Oh,
more.
without a doubt.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
without a
so-
doubt. That was a short film, and they were trying to they shot a short, and they were trying to shop the short film to get money to make the full length feature version of that short film. And I haven't heard from them in a year and a half, so I don't know if it's happening, and I don't even know if they would cast me as the final Elvis. Usually in those sorts of instances, for the lead, they would cast a more known actor. But I was happy to do the short version, and it allowed me to, I like to play make believe, so that was freaking awesome.
Yeah,
Really
no, that's
love
great.
that.
I'm so glad, and I hope to see you in more like big picture kind of stuff because you're really funny, and like you've got like a knack for making people laugh. It's just like it's really refreshing, It's
Well, thank you so
good.
much. I appreciate
you've got a
that.
fan in
I'm
me,
doing the best
Jonesy.
I can.
yeah.
Oh man, I love that. I absolutely love that.
So
I'm
that's
so
why you got to come here to
appreciative, really.
Toronto. You got to come here to Toronto.
I got to get up to Toronto for sure.
Mhm. Just 1 second. I wanted to go back on the topic of like weird sex stuff because that's like the kind of stuff that you report, or at least one of the things that you report. I want to get your take on this headline because I ran into it today and my jaw just dropped. The headline reads, "Man dies after 12-hour Viagra-fueled orgy."
Oh,
Jeez.
yes.
Uh,
Okay, this is an older
yeah.
story because I covered
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Also, you've heard this before. A Russian man died after guzzling a bottle of Viagra to keep him going for 12 hours with two female pals. The women had bet mechanic Sergei Tuganov $4,300 that he wouldn't be able to follow through with a half-day sex marathon. The guy was 28 years old. Holy shit!
Yeah, that really surprised me because he was so young. You know, when you read that headline, you just assume, oh, this guy was like in his 60s or something like that, right? But
You
no,
would think.
it's like, yeah, you would think. It's like, I don't know how much he took. Like, I don't know how you take so much Viagra that there's no need. I mean, I've taken Viagra recreationally many times. You don't need that. I mean, you could do 3 pills will get you through that.
Yeah, you can do fine with
even
one.
one pill will go with one. Like, I don't even, you know, when I do mess with it, I don't even have to take a full one because, you know, everything works down there anyways. It's just an enhancer, so I could take half of it and I'm good for it. I'll wake up and be like, oh boy, still puffy. It's like, so like this guy to me is foolish. You know, he didn't do his research. You just don't need this much. You know, you could pop just a couple pills. You could go all day and all night with it. It's just very sad. It didn't have to happen. You know, it really, really didn't. And for those of you who are listening, who are like, oh, I'm interested in dabbling in one of these particular drugs for recreational purposes. You don't even have to talk to your doctor. And by the way, I get my Viagra from your country. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, very cheap. It's amazing. So I'm just, for your listeners, if it already works, just take a piece of it. That's all you're gonna need. Watch.
Cut it up in half.
You're not gonna be cut it in half. You're not putting yourself in any danger whatsoever with that. With that, if you take a small piece of it, you know, and from my experience and my opinion. Now you got to find out which one is good for you because, you know, Cialis and Viagra, they have different effects. What are those effects, Jonesy? You have the experience? Yeah, I've tried both. The Cialis for me makes my face very red, and it gives me a headache. Ooh, so to me, it doesn't really. My face gets so red. It's really bizarre. And I have a headache, so I don't know if it's what it's doing, but you know, I won't take that one anymore. I won't take that one. If I dabble in it, I'll do the blue pill and only a small piece of it, and I don't get that headache.
The blue pill. You sound like the Matrix.
But we're all different, you know. So see what works for you. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with these substances. I like to eat mushrooms, half a Viagra, smoke a blunt, have a whiskey in front of me. Wow, now we're talking. This is a good time all night with me.
Yeah, we should get you some ayahuasca
kind of fun
to top
I like
it off.
To have. Oh man, see, I've done ayahuasca, and I don't think I could have sex on that drug. I mean, that one just puts me in a reality where I'm not even. I'm like, this is a real. I don't even know what this reality is.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can
I guess if you wanted to fuck a jaguar.
Yeah. You could. Yeah. You could have the balls for that. I mean, someone was having sex like in Africa, and this like lion just pounced right onto this couple because they were fucking inside a bush, and then I guess the lion thought that they were food. Yeah.
Well, technically, they are food, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, and when you're in the jungle, you're kind of when you're in the jungle, you're kind of like on their buffet in a way, right? The tiger's like, oh, what's down there at the end of the buffet? Oh, yeah, naked people. I mean, I love naked people on a stick.
If she's already on top of your dick, you're halfway to being a kebab.
Like, yeah, you're halfway to being a kebab. Correct.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I can't believe how much I'm sharing on your podcast here, Tim. Wow, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of my guests, they just dump their purses out on my show, and it's like, hey,
they sure I guess do, I bet, right? This is normal.
Yeah, this is normal for me. I guess it's like my kind face, and there's the fact that there's so much porn behind me that they're like, oh, I guess I can say anything I want. I'm like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you create a very safe environment for this.
Yeah, no, you
create a very safe environment for comedians to come on and then get canceled. I love it.
Trust me, I've been canceled more than I have drawn breath, so I'm not even worried.
Yeah, you know what? We're not that famous. We don't have to worry about that.
No, it's okay.
And
I don't have to worry about the
if
FBI.
If we ever get that famous, it's like a good problem to have. Oh,
Yeah.
really? You're going to come at me for dirty talk? Ooh, boy.
Oh,
I'll take the
no.
50 million. Thank you.
Let me just wipe my tears away with all these $100 bills. Oh, no.
Oh, I know. Sitting in my townhouse.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Yes.
Hey, you sick motherfuckers. I've got a special treat for you. Need a new toy to spice up your sex life? Head over to loveshop.ca/sexedwithtim and get yourself a cock ring, a dildo, a vibrator, or even a life-sized sex doll. Damn, I guess love really does come in all shapes and sizes. Get 15% off your entire order when you use code SEXEDWITHTIM at checkout. They're shipping to all of Canada and the United States because North America is horny. That's loveshop.ca/sexedwithtim and use code SEXEDWITHTIM for 15% off your entire purchase. Happy orgasm! Do you like feeling sexy and looking sexy? Of course you do. Only my listeners are sexy as fuck. I have partnered with fetishwear designer Dale Kuda to bring you the hottest deals on custom jock straps, harnesses, hats, and more. Head over to dalekuda.com, that's DALEKUDA.com, and use code SEXEDWITHTIM at checkout for 25% off the entire store. Yeah, you heard me. 25% off. And cherry on top, free shipping. Oh my god. I have a few of the stuff that he has made for me, and girl, I'm wearing it right now. I'm wearing like a little jock strap so that I could easily just like slip a little butt plug or dildo every now and then here and there, and I'm on the train. I'm just like, thank you, Dale. That's dalekuda.com with the code SEXEDWITHTIM for 25% off your entire purchase with free shipping. With a deal like that, I swear I could come buckets, honey.
The show is about to begin.
Yes.
Just before we wrap things up, because we've had such an amazing conversation. This is so fucking funny.
It's very fun. We're going to have to do a part 2 sometime in the future.
Hell yeah, we are. Are you okay to like play one quick game with me? I just want to get your funny bone
games.
rolling. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this game is called Red Flags. And what this is like, now that we're friends, you're going to set me up on a date, a blind date. But like, I'm going to tell you what their qualities are. And you have to be like, no, just go on a date, Tim. This is like, they're fine. I want you to sell me this date. You ready?
These are all qualities of one person.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm not picking from 3 different people.
No,
Okay,
I'm
got
just
it.
drawing from a deck here. So you're going to have to sell me this date.
Okay.
So
I
you're setting me up.
I got to defend them.
Yeah, exactly. So you're setting me up
All
with
right.
a porn star who's also a hot barista, but they're a men's rights activist.
Okay. They're a what?
A men's rights activist.
A men?
Men's rights activist. So they're
Wow.
sexist. They're basically sexist.
Wow.
All right.
You usually don't find you usually don't find a barista who's also a men's
Oh, porn star and a
men's rights
sexist.
activist. I've met a lot of baristas who are feminists for sure, who want to take down
Nah.
the patriarchy.
No, this one's a fucking sexist. So tell me why I should go on this date, Jonesy.
People can change. People can change. Right? You know, this person is suffering from a sick ideology, but it's not over for them. You know, there are ways that you can, it's called converting, right? It's what the Scientologists do.
my
They
God.
convert. So it's quite possible that you could convert this person. And what better person to do it than a gay man? Really? Like, let's be real here. if anybody can get this guy straight, like thinking in the head, it's you, Tim. It's you.
Can I just say the pause?
I mean, because what you're describing really, you're describing like a proud boy who's a barista / porn star, right? I mean, this is what we're talking about here, right? This is a proud boy. No, this is like this is an anti-abortion. This is kind of the person
who hates women
funny
for
that
some
a porn
reason.
Star, it's funny that you would meet a porn star who's also anti-abortion. That doesn't make any sense. But this person seems to be.
God, this is so funny. I just drew 3 random cards from the deck, so it's so funny.
It would have been easier if you're like, these are 3 people. Here are their qualities, and I'll pick the guy.
They're all one guy. They're all one guy.
Go barista, man. Go barista. You want to wake up to a delicious, I don't know, a flat white or a wow, that didn't come out right.
Flat
You want
white.
to wake up to a flat white? No, you want to wake up to
a venti caramel
you want to wake up
macchiato.
to a tall white. Could I have a tall white, please? Or any color, really. I'll go for
An
any
Americano.
color. Tall Americano.
God.
You ever heard of a double espresso? It's 2 Italian boys. Hey.
Stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, cappuccino. That's with a lot of foam on top. That's what I like.
Oh my God.
Hey, that's a fun game. I do dig that game. Where do you get those cards? Is that like for a party game?
Yeah, it's called Red Flags. So if you ever get into a board game store or something, look for it. It's
Red
so
Flags.
funny.
And so you sit with your friends, and you guys you pick the card, and then you say, would I go out with this person, or how does that is that how it works?
You basically have it's like Cards Against Humanity, where it's like you kind of make the funniest date.
Like, okay,
and
got
you
it.
sell how shitty your date is, and then if you're able to convince the single person that this is worth going out on, then you get the point. And then that's
amazing. That actually makes it way funnier and more challenging.
So funny.
I love those kinds of card games.
I got a card where the red flag is like he's tied to a bomb. So how do I sell this?
Oh, man, I mean, it's like, well, we could have a nice last meal together.
Yeah,
maybe.
right?
I don't know how you sell that.
Yeah.
That's
So,
hard. I mean, some of those are impossible sells. I
exactly.
guess
So
the only way to sell that is like you really got to go hard on reincarnation. You know what I mean?
Actually, how I sold it was the card doesn't say how much time is on the bomb. So you could have like 5 years, 5 minutes, but it's going to be an amazing short time together. Ooh.
Hey, that's a really good angle. I didn't think of that angle.
Exactly.
It doesn't say what time. Wow, you got to get really creative with that kind of stuff.
So, like, for example, this other card here, I'm just going to draw it at random. It says, calls you a 4 to your face. How do you sell that?
They're a 10. If they're a 10, I guess, I mean,
yeah, because the green flags are like, they're the funniest person in the world, and he's also a great conversationalist, but he calls you a 4 to your face. Like, how do you sell that?
What a fun party game. I'm into that. I need to pick that up.
Red flags. Jeez. All right, Jonesy, before we wrap up anything here, and I don't wrap up anything, do you have anything to plug for my audience?
Well, yeah, I mean, if they like some of those weird sex and romance love stories that we were talking about earlier, then those come up a lot on the podcast, these weird sex things, especially on Florida Fridays, where there's just a lot of strange people in Florida. So a lot of weird sexual stories come out of Florida. So Weird AF News would be something to check out. There's a lot of weird stuff in there, and I try to make it as funny as possible by, reading the story but giving my take on it and trying to add jokes to it, doing impressions where I need to, and just trying to embellish them and make them more as entertaining as possible, because I want to educate but also entertain and get laughs if possible. So it's funny, weird news delivered by a comedian. So 5 days a week, you can find Weird AF News on any podcast player and YouTube, as that's where they can find my show. And then I'm on Instagram at Funny Jones, just Funny Jones, one word.
Perfect.
Very easy.
You're like the
That's where
poor
I
man's
post my
daily
shows and
show,
stuff. I'm exactly the poor man's daily show. It's just one guy in a closet too. I mean, this is all I'm doing. I record in a closet, man. I tell everybody you see pictures of the closet if you go on my Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm closeted with the show.
Well, thank you for sharing your journey of coming out of the closet and onto my show. So that's amazing. Do you have any any shows coming up, Jonesy? Like any sets that you've got on the road?
Every other Wednesday, I do a cannabis show down near Long Beach that is free if anyone wants to attend that if they're in SoCal. You can also live stream. The show is live streamed, so you can actually watch it every other Wednesday at 8:30 Pacific time. And you can find that information on my Instagram as well. So you could actually see my stand-up and not even have to be in the room. But most of my shows are in the LA, Hollywood area. So if any of your listeners are there, just look at my Instagram. I post everything on there where I'm going to be. And if you come to a show, just come up to me after and say what's up, or before the show. I love to meet people that are coming to support live comedy and who might be a fan of me. I'm a fan of you. You know what I mean? I'm grateful.
Yeah, no, a lot of my listeners are in the States, and they're coincidentally in the West Coast. So if you like what you heard, people, and if you enjoy Jonesy's comedy and like my gay ass ramblings, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, whatever 5-star button. Really helps the show. And because if you don't, you're a homophobe. I don't make the rules. I'm sorry. So don't forget to follow me at Sex Ed with Tim on Twitter and Instagram. And thanks again for listening to another episode of the Sex Ed with Tim podcast. And I will see you all at the next one. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Sex Ed with Tim podcast. Sex Ed with Tim is created and produced by me, Tim Lagman. Music is Aces High by Kevin MacLeod. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GaySlutClown and at Sex Ed with Tim. You can also like and follow me on the Sex Ed with Tim Facebook page. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for all your support, you dirty little slut. Mwah.